for taking it forward. We welcome you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Chester. Very good afternoon and a big hello to all the participants here. Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is our this theme-based program on authorized economic operators. And this is the fourth part of the special series of the presentations being held on the occasion of our CBIC's participation in India International Trade Fair, as well as on the occasion of completion of 60th year of the Customs Act. So this is being brought to you by Directorate General of Taxpayer Services. Before moving further, let me introduce the chief guest for today. We are very pleased to announce that Ms. Aruna N. Gupta, Chief Commissioners, Delhi Customs, is here with us, and we welcome you, ma'am. We heartily welcome you with these lines, ma'am. मेरे घर में कदम रंजा किया, मेरे घर में कदम रंजा किया तो मेहरबानी की, मेरे घर में कदम रंजा किया तो सरफराजी की, मेरे घर में कदम रंजा किया तो सरफराजी की, इनायत है, करम है। आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद मैम, आपका यहाँ पर आने के लिए। मैम आज के सेशन में चीफ गेस्ट हैं और इनॉग्रल स्पीकर भी हैं। थैंक यू मैम, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है। मैं यहाँ पर जो ये सेशन हो रहा है इसमें हमारे जो पार्टनर्स हैं विक्की और पीओ हैं, जो मैं आप सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स का एक बार फिर से स्वागत करता हूँ। मैं अब श्री मनस्वी श्रीवास्तव जी को बुलाना चाहूंगा कि वो वेलकम एड्रेस यहाँ पर।
Can I use your mic? Thank you very much, and completely my privilege to be here to welcome Mrs. Aruna Narayan Gupta, who's been my senior colleague when I was in the service, and my commendations to Mr. Upender Gupta for organizing this wonderful event. I was here yesterday as well. As far as the topic of AEO is concerned, this is something with which I have lived with for the past 10 to 15 years. And if I look at my own past, I was in the service for about 14 years, then with the private sector in the industry for about 10 years odd, where I was in Microsoft heading the global customs, and now I am with a consulting firm. Of course, as a part of FICCI, I'm here as a member of the taxation committee. Now, when I look at the AEO program, it is obviously a global program held by the WCO, but there are certain variations of it present in other parts of the world. Most prominent being what is called the CTPAT, the Customs and Trade Partnership Against Terrorism, which is in the US. Now, obviously, the nomenclature and the thrust in the US is very much security inclined, but in our case, it is security as well as economy inclined. I would say the AEO program for developing countries like India is far more important than, say, US or EU, because it is here that facilitation is most needed. When I look at countries like Europe, with which I also dealt with in my earlier roles, we could see that generally the consignments would clear customs in about 1 to 2 hours. So how much more facilitation can you do? However, in India, I believe we are still a far cry from that. Though things have definitely improved, and they've improved vastly. There are a few suggestions, rather prosaic stuff compared to what Mrs. Aruna Narayan would say. I'm sure that will be much more interesting than what I have to offer. But a few, I would say, run-of-the-mill suggestions that I would make, which could make this program more attractive to the private sector. One of them is, we've all heard about this set of rules called Karotar, which is for free trade agreements, and more customs is supposed to exercise more superintendence and more diligence on availing of benefits under free trade agreements. This has become a bit of a, I would say, a struggle for the industry and even for genuine players who are claiming their benefits correctly. Is there a possibility that those who are AEO certified and they are also claiming benefits under FTAs, can they be facilitated more than the others? That's a thought that I leave this panel with. Maybe you can think about it and propose it to CBIC. The second possibility is that there are various bonds and bank guarantees which are prescribed, and for certain cases, the AEOs have a zero bond and bank guarantee requirement. Can such a zero bond and bank guarantee requirement also be extended to free trade agreements? That's again something that can be pondered over. And finally, is there a possibility that valuation, which is again a sore point with some of the importers, or rather many of the importers, especially when we look at related party transactions, can valuation be made a little more easy, a little less cumbersome for those who are AEO at least tier 2 or tier 3 certified? So these are some suggestions from my side. AEO otherwise is a wonderful program. It's been doing very well in India. And I also had the privilege of looking at and witnessing some of the presentations which were done at the World Customs Organization in Brussels by the Indian contingent. And I remember from the past 2 or 3 years ago,
मिसेस सुनीता बत्रा के लिए है, उनकी बेटी शहरी बत्रा 4 नंबर हॉल ग्राउंड फ्लोर पे इंतजार कर रहे हैं। धन्यवाद।
Past 2 or 3 years ago, when our presentation was made, I remember that there was resounding applause in the room, and that applause, I'm sure, has not yet died down. This program definitely has got a very bright future, given the fact that the department is extremely aggressively pursuing it. My very best wishes to the trade, and as well as to the senior officers of the department, who've shown a commendable leadership in helming this. And with these words, let me invite Mrs. Aruna Narayan Gupta to give the inaugural address.
Is it okay? Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you, Manasvi, and good afternoon. It gives me immense pleasure to be here today for this session on AEOs. Indian customs has always been in the forefront in enhancing trade facilitation. And it goes without saying that a facilitative tax environment benefits all, besides, creating a good image for the country. Over the past few years, Indian customs has introduced many, trade-friendly measures. And this AEO program is one such. It's a flagship program of the government of India.
सुरक्षा में और सफाई में हमारा सहयोग करें। धन्यवाद।
Okay, I'll continue with that. Okay, one such measure has been with the introduction of the AEO program, which is one of the flagship programs of the government of India, tailored suitably to meet the WCO framework of standards and also to facilitate and promote in a major way legitimate trade. Basically, it's another step towards trust-based compliance, wherein extensive benefits, including greater facilitation and self-certification, have been provided to those entities who have demonstrated robust internal control systems and compliance with CBIC requirements.
श्रीमती सुनीता बत्रा आपकी शहर आपका इंतजार कर रही है। आप कृपया केंद्रीय सुविधा केंद्र हॉल नंबर 4 ग्राउंड फ्लोर पर उनसे संपर्क करें।
Essentially, this program seeks to provide tangible benefits in the form of faster customs clearances and simplified customs procedures to those business entities who offer a high degree of security in respect of their role in the supply chain. As all of you know, the AEO program is a 3-tier program. for importers and exporters.
राष्ट्रीय व्यापार मेला 2022 में आपका हार्दिक स्वागत है। मेले में इस वर्ष विषय है।
Are you able to hear me over this? I'll just continue. Okay. Okay, it's a three-tier program for importers and exporters, that is T1, T2, and 3T. With each tier, the compliance requirements increase with the increased degree of benefits provided in customs clearance. The business entities who offer the highest degree of guarantee in respect of their role in the supply chain are accorded the highest degree of custom benefits. There's also a single tier AEO program for logistic providers, custodians, terminal operators, warehouse operators, customs brokers, who are called, which is called the AEO LO. Most of the benefits which are available to T2 importers are available to the AEO LO. Government of India has been continuously reviewing this program to increase its efficacy and to further fine-tune the benefits given to these entities. In fact, in 2021, CBIC introduced the concept of continuous certification and auto-renewal after it came across the difficulties faced by T1 operators in getting their certifications renewed. So this auto-renewal is being done on the basis of submission of a simple declaration, annual declaration, which needs to be reviewed by officers. Only in cases where there's any change in compliance or any adverse input is noticed, then a suitable action needs to be taken. The initiatives taken by CBIC has resulted in a lot of entities coming forward for accreditation. There are about 4,771 AEO clients in India across all the 4 categories at the end of October 22, out of which T1 are the maximum, about 2,995, LO is 985, T2 706, and T3 is 85. As AEO program is a globally accepted one, hence CBIC is entering into mutual recognition agreements, MRA, with other countries so that the AEO T2 and T3 certifications received in India are also recognized by their counterpart countries. I would take this opportunity to urge all of you to come forward to join the initiative of CBIC to make international trade more secure while reaping the benefits of facilitation with reduced dwell time for clearances. Thank you very much and good afternoon again.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for your address highlighting all the important points relating to the flagship program AEO. You have very effectively highlighted the salient, not only the salient points, but the contribution of the AEO program towards faster clearance and reducing the dwell time and building a environment of trust for maximum trade between the department and the importers and exporters. So I would like to invite, thank you very much, ma'am. I would like to invite the keynote speaker for today, Mr. Manoj Srivastava, for his presentation. Let me introduce Mr. Manoj Srivastava. Mr. Manoj Srivastava is working as superintendent in Customs Delhi. He is a law postgraduate and he has authored some books on IPR law and narcotics and the arrest and seizure procedures. His articles are regularly published in various tax magazines, and he is a presidential awardee for the year 2020. So with these words, I welcome Mr. Manoj Srivastava for the presentation. Let me have a round of applause for our keynote speaker for today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This is working. This is working.
User sign in. Thank you very much for kind words. As you all are aware, and ma'am elaborated the flagship program of Government of India, that is AEO, Authorized Economic Operator Program. So this program was not new. In some form, it was introduced in India in year 2005. And in present form, that is Authorized Economic Operator form, in AE form, it was the earlier program of ACP. It was called ACP, Accredited Client Program, which was merged in this AEO in the year of 2012. As you are aware that World Customs Organization introduced the safe network of logistics.
केंद्रीय सुविधा केंद्र पर OnePlus मोबाइल फोन जमा कराया गया है, जो कि 5 नंबर हॉल ग्राउंड फ्लोर हेमंत हैंडीक्राफ्ट स्टॉल के सामने पाया गया है। जिस किसी का भी हो वह 4 नंबर हॉल प्रवेश द्वार पर स्थित केंद्रीय सुविधा केंद्र ग्राउंड फ्लोर पर संपर्क करें। धन्यवाद।
How can we go back here? This cursor? Back? No. I have to go back on the slides. Control. Share करो से. Oh. Anyway. Check out that slide. Slide check out.
हॉल नंबर 5 ग्राउंड फ्लोर हेमंत हैंडीक्राफ्ट स्टॉल के पास
Slide
OnePlus
first.
5 मोबाइल फोन से
पीछे करना है.
मिला है। दिल्ली पुलिस ने पास संख्या 4 प्रवेश द्वार 45 पर जमा कराया है। जिस किसी का हो कृपया यहाँ संपर्क करें। धन्यवाद।
इससे होगा ना पीछे. Here. First order. First slide.
एक मिनट होगा
अब इसको आगे
एक सेकंड
चलो इससे कर लो. नीचे करो.
फर्स्ट स्लाइड
या ऊपर से कर लो कोई बात. हाँ ठीक.
एक सेकंड
इससे नीचे होगा. इससे नीचे होगा.
ठीक है
इससे नीचे हो रहा है. स्लाइड मूव किससे होगी.
स्लाइडिंग यहीं से होनी थी कि
कोई खोल दो. चलो उससे खोल दो.
ठीक है
इससे हो जाएगी. ये
नीचे आएगा सर.
हाँ तो ठीक है ना. Okay. Is it visible here? Is it visible? Okay. Yes. So, should I slide it from here? Okay. This cursor is not moving actually.
इस पे आ जाएगा.
Important announcement. One mobile SIM
Again it has gone.
phone OnePlus has been submitted.
No.
Central
Okay, now it's okay. How to move it? See,
One phone address ground floor. The concerned may contact you. Thank you.
sorry for the inconvenience because of this system.
एक सूचना वन प्लस का एक मोबाइल फोन सेट केंद्रीय सुविधा केंद्र और संख्या 4 प्रवेश द्वार पर स्थित वहाँ जमा कराया गया है। जिस किसी का हो कृपया यहाँ संपर्क करें। धन्यवाद।
See, the basic requirement of AEO program was why the AEO program was needed at the ab initio. See, trade security and facilitation is one of the key determinants of AEO program. It is aimed to secure and ensure safety and security in entire supply chain. See, after 9/11, the need was felt that international supply chain should be secured, right? And AEO is aimed to ensure the
सूचना के लिए बताकर सूचना केंद्र एवं कैटलॉग विक्रय केंद्र और संख्या 3 ग्राउंड फ्लोर कोई एरिया में स्थित है। धन्यवाद।
See, I quickly go through this, the basic objective of the AEO program. It was faster, hassle-free, safe delivery of supply, which is the key of ease of doing business. As we all know that if the goods are delivered at the doorstep with a hassle-free and in quick time, then the percentage of revenue can enhance, ease of doing business would be enhanced. We have associated some benefits with some responsibility on the entities which seek AEO registration. We have given some tangible benefits and facilitation of some degree who ensures reliable degree of compliance. What we have prescribed, the CBIC has prescribed.
Important announcement. Delhi Police has submitted 1+ phone mobile set, which is found near Hemant Handicraft Store in hall number 5, ground floor. The concerned will please contact me. Dhanyawad.
After the introduction of AEO, the movement of goods, the supply chain, international security through customs, some fundamental change has taken place. And
सूचना एक मोबाइल फोन सेट दिल्ली पुलिस द्वारा केंद्रीय सुविधा केंद्र और संख्या 4 के प्रवेश द्वार पर जमा कराया गया है। जिस किसी का हो कृपया यहाँ संपर्क करें। धन्यवाद।
okay, so this AEO program has ensured faster movement of goods, which has translated in substantial saving of time and cost for the trade. And now AEO program, after the introduction of version 2, we have digitized entire AEO program now. So each and every application of AEO, irrespective of any category except the LO, is now filed on AEO portal. I'll give you the detail of that portal. So again, is a link. There's some difficulty in the sliding this. Okay. So this is the organizational structure. Under CBIC, we have a Directorate of International Customs, that is DIC and their team. Then we have Zonal Program Manager, which is an officer of the rank of Principal Commissioner and Commissioner. Then we have Nodal Officer, who is basically coordinating in a zone. All the AEO applications and all the glitches, grievances, they are addressed by the Nodal Officer in a customs zone. Then we have CR, Client Relationship Manager, who happens to be an officer of Deputy Commissioner or Assistant Commissioner rank. Right? Then who are entitled to take AEO? We have just summarized here. We'll delve in detail. That is, any importer or exporter is entitled to take the AEO certification. And as ma'am also gave the details, LO, logistic service providers. We call them AEO LO, logistic operators. We have further divided this importer and exporter category of AEO in 3 tier of accreditation. That is tier 1. Obviously, we facilitate them with certain degree of compliance. Then further program is tier 2, more facilitation in comparison to T1, and obviously more compliance. And at last, we have tier 3 program. Only a few legal entities, you may call it less than 100 now, they are entitled and they have taken the AEO T3 program. Procedure is a bit lengthy for them, and burden of compliance is also a bit more for T3 entities. Okay, so this is the structure. Then now, who are covered in AEO? This is the first and foremost question, that who can avail the facility of AEO. So I have just summarized that anyone involved in an international supply chain that undertakes customs related activity in India can apply for AEO. So first, the entity has to be registered in India. That is the basic requirement first. Correct? Now, irrespective of size, anyone, irrespective of size, irrespective of turnover, irrespective of manpower, they can avail the AEO facilities. They include importers, exporters, as I mentioned, logistic service providers. So logistic service providers are further, I have elaborated as carriers, airlines, freight forwarders, custodian, terminal operators, custom house agents, warehouse operators. They all are covered in single category, that is logistic operators, AEO, LO. Others who may qualify include port operators, authorized couriers, some registered couriers like DHL and other couriers. We have given AEO certification to them as well. And the list is not exhaustive, as obvious. We can include some others if the need required. If the need be, we will include. Now, who are not covered? Primarily, they are part of the international supply chain, but banks, consultants, etc., are not covered in this AEO program. One more thing I have just brought here, that is application for AEO status will not cover the legal entity for entire group. For example, say Kirloskar is having 3, 4, 5 divisions. One is manufacturing transformers, then pumps, then etc. So one AEO single certification will not cover entire group. It's a legal entity which is covered.
दिल्ली पुलिस द्वारा केंद्रीय सुविधा केंद्र जो कि नॉन संख्या 4 ग्राउंड फ्लोर प्रवेश द्वार पर स्थित है, वहाँ एक OnePlus का मोबाइल फोन सेट जमा कराया गया है। ये मोबाइल फोन नॉन संख्या 5 ग्राउंड फ्लोर पर स्थित एवन हैंडीक्राफ्ट स्टोर के पास गिरा हुआ मिला है। जिस किसी का हो कृपया यहाँ केंद्रीय सुविधा केंद्र नॉन संख्या 4 प्रवेश द्वार पर संपर्क करें। धन्यवाद।
So there is no provision to grant AEO to a specific site. If you have multiple sites, multiple locations, different vertical of business is there, then it is not related to particular site.
भारत अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व्यापार मेला 2022 में आपका स्वागत है। मेरे प्यारे दर्शकों से अनुरोध है कि कृपया एक जगह भीड़ न लगाएं। मेला प्रांगण में सुरक्षा एवं सफाई बनाए रखने के लिए हमारा सहयोग करें। धन्यवाद।
In continuation to that, in single AEO, we cover all the sites. If a single business vertical have multiple sites, then all the sites are covered in that particular AEO. But it is obviously not prescribed for entire group. Different business verticals are not covered in that. So as I mentioned earlier, that applicant must be establishment in India. They have business activities for at least 3 years from the date of application. Preceding 3 years business activity should be there. Obviously, we have given some relaxation to MSME sector, and in exceptional cases, the zonal program manager can relax this condition as well. If on physical verification, we find that unit is quite compliant and other parameters are met, then we can relax this condition. But normally, a business should have 3 years of establishment, 3 years of business in India, preceding the date of application. So exceptional cases are also covered. Now, who are covered in continuation to that? They must be in supply chain. As I mentioned, importer, exporter, logistics service providers, custodian, warehouse. So anyone can avail the facility of AEO. Obviously, with the tax comply with the compliance of their what we have mentioned in our circulars, and in different categories would they belong to. So establishment India, for establishment India, for every compliance man, some sort of proof has to be submitted, right? So there are some legal obligations, some documentary proofs, some documents are required just to establish, just to put the claim forward. So for that matter, for that establishment in India, certificate of registration, GSTN number, or any certificate which shows that the entity is registered in India will suffice. For 3 years, they have established the business for the last 3 years from the date of application. We have given 2-3 documents, anyone will suffice, that is balance sheet or 3CB or all these documents will suffice. Now, one key requirement for T1, T2 and T3 is that they should have handled at least 25 documents in the preceding 3 financial years. In a single year, they must have filed 25 documents. Those can be 25 documents in import side as well as in export side. They can be a shipping bill or bill of entry. But at least 25 documents has to be there in a financial year. Again, we have given some relaxation to MSME sector. We will discuss that when we come to that. So 25 documents to be filed by the entity in a year. Now, this is the basic master circular we published in the year of 2016. That is 33/16. It gives the detail and all the requirement of the obligation, benefits. It's a master circular. CBIZ came on 22nd of July 2016. So what this circular says that all these categories which we have already mentioned, we have discussed, they are covered in circular. So what evaluation is on what parameters? We have prescribed certain parameters. For these facilitation, for this tangible benefits, we have prescribed certain parameters. And on the basis of compliance level, we give T1, T2, and T3. I quickly reshuffle and quickly go through the parameters. That is, first of all, threat assessment. I would like to clarify one thing here, that these documents or the AEO is not related to tax burden. This is not tax audit or tax something, that we are here to detect the taxation purposes. This is rather just to plug the gaps in supply chain, the security measures. We are concerned with the security and safety of the cargo, so that the basic idea is that the cargo moves from a place, say Tokyo port, and comes to Faridabad factory, that it should come in quick time. This is the basic idea. And for that purpose, we need some sort of a prior verification that yes, entire supply chain is intact. They have already been verified. And we find that all the parameters, all the norms are in place, what we have prescribed. So we are ensured that, okay, don't open the consignment. There's no need to check it further. And in quick possible time, see, the traveling time cannot be reduced. The port to port time, either it is air time or the sea time, it cannot be reduced. At the same time, we can reduce the compliance time. We can reduce the time which takes in examination, which takes in valuation, and etc. etc. So the basic idea is just once for a prescribed time period, say 3 years, which is the prescribed time period for AEO validity, once in a time. So we just ensure that the supply chain is intact. The security and safety measures are in place. For that, we have prescribed certain parameters. So those parameters are that threat assessment should be analyzed. Security plan, which is adapted to the which has to be assessed, that what security measures are in place in premises for cargo, for transportation, etc. Now, procedural measures are in place or not. If the things are missing, if 2 boxes are missing or 2 boxes are excess, or a number of scenarios might be there. So if proper procedure is in place or not, just to address or to assess the situation. So this is one of the parameters we evaluate the entities. Now, physical security of building, yes, we see that if the premise is accessible to everyone or not, what preventive measures have been in place. So physical security of building and premises, similarly, the loading and warehousing. If the AEO alloy is there, then if the warehouse is secured enough. So those are one of the parameters. Now, security of transport. Yes, we look at the transportation. That's why we encourage the transporters to take the AEO certification. We just want to ensure that the cargo is intact from this point, from the port of loading or port of discharge to the place of deposit, a place of factory or at the factory gate. Personal security, some sort of compliance and sort of sense of responsibility is casted that whenever you are hiring a personnel in your factory premises or in your supply chain, some credentials have to be verified just to ensure that yes, the personnel engaged are in their integrity is not doubtful. And the last but not the least is information system. See, now every transaction is IT based. All your accounts are based on some sort of business system. All the inventory is based on some IT system. Everything is on IT. So IT security is very important. So we have to ensure, and this is the most important aspect when we evaluate any T2 or T3 particularly, that IT security is in place or not. What security measures have been taken to secure the data? Because data is, as I personally feel, that in modern time, in nowadays, data is the key. That's a treasure. That's why you find that everyone is giving freebies just for the sake of data. And in one instance, this happened that utmost data security was not there. And one customer sent an email in guise of an intent. And the email was opened by the purchase department and their entire data was gone. They just thought that this is an email sent by their customer. As soon as they clicked the email, their data was gone. Because enough and sufficient data security was not in place. So that we consider that depending on the size, and this is not that we have not placed or we have not prescribed a single yardstick for all the entities. Obviously, it depends on the size and the volume of the unit, that according to the volume or size of the unit, this sort of security measures should be there. We do not expect, and there is no single yardstick, as I mentioned, that for each and every entity, we prescribe the simple and the same data security and all these measures. But nevertheless, according to the size of the unit, there must be some security measures. Now, we have prescribed these forms. Everyone is free to ask anything related to AEO. We are just deliberating. See, certain annexes we have prescribed, and they are different for AEO, T1, T2, T3, and LO. So we have categorized these annexes. They are called Annexer A, for example. In short, I have just mentioned these. This is the application form, giving details, basic details of the applicant, their email, their contact person, their registration number, etc., etc.
आवश्यक सूचना कृषि पिता, अगर आप हमारी आवाज सुन पा रहे हैं, आपके पिता यहाँ की सुविधा केंद्र हॉल नंबर 4 प्रवेश द्वार पर आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं। कृषि गुप्ता, कृपया ध्यान दें, अगर आप हमारी आवाज सुन पा रहे हैं, आपके पिता श्री अमन गुप्ता, केंद्रीय सुविधा केंद्र, बहुत संख्या 4 प्रवेश द्वार पर आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं। धन्यवाद।
Okay, so this is basic application form, that is Annexure A. Then the security plan, we just asked, these all application, as I mentioned, the application can be filed on portal. So security plan, one thing I would like to mention here, that if you have multiple locations, then security plan has to be for all the locations. So that is security plan. Then we have Annexure C, which asks for process map, what you are dealing with. If you are importer, then the process of import, or if you are exporter, manufacturer importer, then the process of doing the business. That process is mentioned in Annexure C. Then we have Annexure D.
आवश्यक सूचना, एक बच्ची जिसकी उम्र 11 वर्ष है और नाम लिखता है, वे अपने पिता से कुछ मिली है। उनके पिता श्री अमन गुप्ता, केंद्रीय सुविधा और नंबर 4 पर प्रवेश द्वार ग्राउंड फ्लोर पर इंतजार कर रहे हैं। धन्यवाद।
Then we have site plan, self-assessment plan category contains general compliance, then legal compliance. For legal compliance, we get a declaration from the entity that no case in last 3 years from the date of application has been booked pertaining to fraud, clandestine removal, availing drawback fraudulently, or prosecution. Meaning thereby that any grievous case or any case which involves some harsher degree of punishment is not booked against the entity. And for that we send the legal compliance, we take the declaration, we send it to our field formation, particularly our DRI and DGCI and all the field formation. Sufficient time is prescribed for that. We get our internal report that yes, indeed there is no case book.
यह सूचना हमारे प्रतिभागी जिनको भी वाईफाई की सेवा लेनी है, वे शुल्क का भुगतान करके इस सेवा प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। इसके लिए डिटेल केंद्रीय सुविधा केंद्र पर प्राप्त कर सकते हैं।
So that is Annexure E comprises legal compliance, which is an important document. This is just to ensure that the entity which we are going to give the certification is not involved in any sort of fraud or clandestine removal or something grave activities, something which harms the revenue. Then we have commercial or transporter records. An important document is financial solvency. We have prescribed a single page format for that. So that financial solvency, that in the last 3 years, the entity remained financial solvent. They were not bankrupt, there was no insolvency, and etc. etc. So this document has to be signed by the chartered accountant. So we have mentioned the word at your auditors, but it will suffice. This has to be submitted.
हमारे दर्शकों के लिए सूचना, गेट संख्या 4 से मुफ्त एवं मंडी हाउस
This financial solvency has to be there in the last year. Any questions? You are welcome. Then yes, safety and security, we have prescribed an annexure for that.
तो अपने सिस्टम पे करो ना, अपने सिस्टम पे फिर वॉइस तो नहीं आ पाएगी ना? क्यों नहीं आएगी? सिस्टम में वॉइस वाला तो नहीं है ना, स्पीकर नहीं है, स्पीकर नहीं है, तो अपने से सुन लो, बस इसकी आवाज इतनी तेज कर लो, फुल कर लो, अपने ईयरफोन लगा लो।
And we have various partner details that is prescribed for.
बस ये वाली वीडियो आ सकती है सर।
Now, these are the requirements I have mentioned. First, I have mentioned who are entitled to take this AEO certification. What is the object of AEO? Then, now requirements and now the benefits associated with AEO program. This is facilitation. Yes, all the AEO categories get customs facilitation, some degree or the higher degree. Then direct port delivery. Yes, it is there. If AEO certification, AEO entities are there, they can take the delivery directly from the port. No need to take the goods to the warehouse. Then an important financial benefit is there that according to the category, according to the accreditation program, their bank guarantee in certain cases, entities has to submit the bank guarantee to customs. There are a number of cases where bank guarantees or bank security has to be submitted. So in case of AEO, say for T1, it is only 50% what normal importer or exporter has to submit. There is a 50% bank guarantee only. Then if it is T2 entity, tier 2 entity AEO, then they have to submit only 25% of bank guarantee. Obviously for MSME, we have given only 10%, we have prescribed 10% of the bank guarantee, amount of the bank guarantee. And for T3, it is appreciated that there is no bank guarantee at all is required. Obviously, where certain checks and rights are there. In case of Section 18, where the provisional assessment or provisionally goods are released, and these procedure, these this facilitation is not take time in certain conditions. Okay, I quickly go through. Yes, in case of dispute or investigation, we will expedite the investigation. If it is AEO, very important facilitation is 24/7 clearance. So this is really an important facilitation that if it is an AEO client, then clearance is 24/7. Irrespective of Saturday, Sunday, night, 24/7 custom is working for AEO. And important aspect is deferred duty payment, which is associated with T2 and T3. So deferred duty payment means that for the clearance of an expired between 1st to 15th of the month, they can pay the duty on 16th of that. Similarly, for the second 15 days, 16 to 31st, duty has to be paid by 1st of next month, except on March, days of March. So that is 2-3 very important benefits are there. That is 24/7 clearance, deferred duty payment, and preferential treatment in investigation and all that. If feasible, then we have asked, and then we are very happy to announce that in Delhi Air Cargo Complex, we have earmarked separate space for AEO clients. So if feasible, and AEO clients will get a separate space, storage space. Their goods are kept in separate racks of are earmarked for AEO entities only. Okay, so I will go through SBB is in certain cases. So these are the major benefits which are associated with the AEO clients. Now, benefits associated with logistic operators, waiver of bank guarantee again, custodian, terminal operators, huge bank guarantee obligations are there. But if they are AEO, then no bank guarantee is prescribed for them. Then extension of approval of custodian for next 10 years. That is another major benefit. Custom broker, CHA, again, waiver of bank guarantee. There's no renewal fee. Their license is renewed free of cost, and their validity is extended so long their AEO certification is valid. For warehouses, again, faster approval, waiver from any verification, solvency, and security of sensitive goods is allowed. Now, some legal reshuffle, some legal aspect that, as I mentioned earlier, that AEO was introduced in India in 2005 by Circular 42 by 2005. I'm not going into the details of these circulars. You can ask anything. AEO pilot program was launched in 2011. Then full-fledged AEO program was circulated by Circular 28. I'm just quickly giving you the details of circular. You can have this presentation. Then master circular, where all these nuances were prescribed It was by its circular number 33/16. So we mentioned all these details, category, obligations, benefits, all these things. Now, then in 2018, we prescribed that all the AEO T1 applications would be on aeoindia.gov platform only.
नमस्कार।
Digitized.
भारत अंतर्राष्ट्रीय व्यापार मेला 2022 में आपका स्वागत है। मेला इस वर्ष हॉल संख्या 2, 3, 4, 5 भूतल एवं प्रथम तल पर और हॉल संख्या 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 एवं 12 है, जो कि नए और 5 नंबर के सामने से है, उनमें लगा रहे हैं। राज्यों के पवेलियन हॉल संख्या 1, 3, 4, 5 प्रथम तल पर और भागीदार राज्य और फोकस राज्य की पवेलियन हॉल संख्या 2, 3 भूतल पर है। भागीदार राज्य है बिहार एवं महाराष्ट्र और झारखंड। फोकस राज्य है उत्तर प्रदेश और केरल। बिहार एवं महाराष्ट्र का पवेलियन हॉल संख्या 2 भूतल पर है। झारखंड का पवेलियन हॉल संख्या 3 भूतल पर है। फोकस राज्य
Okay.
हॉल संख्या 2 भूतल पर।
We prescribed some circulars,
फोकस राज्य
keeping in mind the
हॉल संख्या
pandemic.
प्रथम तल पर।
So we extended the date of renewal
नए हॉल के भूतल पर
and
ये राज्य है आंध्र प्रदेश, दिल्ली, गुजरात, मध्य प्रदेश, मणिपुर, उड़ीसा, पंजाब, त्रिपुरा। ये पवेलियन हॉल संख्या 4
for Tier 1 program, we have prescribed auto renewal.
जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, कर्नाटक, पश्चिम बंगाल, चंडीगढ़ का पवेलियन हॉल संख्या 2 प्रथम तल पर है। असम, गोवा, नागालैंड, पुदुचेरी, राजस्थान, सिक्किम, तमिलनाडु, लद्दाख का पवेलियन हॉल संख्या 3 प्रथम तल पर स्थित है। धन्यवाद।
So by circular 18/21, we have prescribed auto renewal for T1. Now they need not to apply again and again. Their AEO certificate will be renewed automatically, subject to some simple return annually they have to file one return and we will renew their AEO certification. So auto renewal facility we have just provided. And again, the T2 and T3, we have all brought them on the aeoindia.gov portal. So now all the applications, all the registrations are digitized. That's a big milestone now. So there's no need of going to the office, supplying the document in physical mode, etc., etc. Right? So this is the format of annual self-declaration. You can just go through. This circular is 54/21. You can just go through and if the need be, we will elaborate. Now, this is part of the circular. I just escaped this. And now, an important thing is for MSME. We have further facilitated the units falling under MSME sector. We have prescribed a circular that is 54/20. We have reduced the eligibility criteria, which was 25 documents for normal AEO T1, T2, T3. For MSME, it is only 10 documents, subject to 5 documents in each 6 months. In each half of the year, at least 5 documents have to be filed. So that is a big relief for MSME. Similarly, we have prescribed the compliance burden of 3 years. We have reduced it to 2 years. So for legal compliance, for financial solvency, for other compliances, the time period prescribed for MSME is only 2 years instead of 3 years in normal case. We have again reduced the compliance burden. Now only 3 annexes are required to be filed by MSME. Here there are a number of annexes we have prescribed as mentioned earlier. Now in case of MSME, only annexer 1 and 2 for T1 and additional annexer T3 is required for T2. So substantially we have reduced the compliance burden as far as MSME is concerned. Now as ma'am has already mentioned that as on date, there are around 4,700 entities which are availing the facility and facilitation of AEO program. I'm not going to detail. Ma'am has already discussed that. Now, if you have any question, any doubt, this is the dashboard you will get. I have just got the screenshots of these dashboard that as an applicant, when you file the application, so first of all, you have to register yourself. A password and login ID will be provided. When you log in, then this would be the screen. And when you go through the screen, certain details have to be filed. In case of T1, in quickly, and as far as practicality is concerned, not going into the technicality or the screen, I just give you a experimental thing that when you file T1 application, first it verifies, the portal verifies the details, the verification of credentials. It is either through the mobile number or the email ID. So that email ID and mobile number, normally we ask to just to upload the GSTN certificate or the IEC certificate. And normally IEC certificate does not contain the email of the applicant or mobile number. That is practically difficulty. So your application is not verified. As soon as you file T1 application, it is not verified. So for that matter, you have to upload the screenshot what application you have submitted to DGFT. That is the basic requirement, because it contains the detail of email ID or mobile number. So the fields are auto-populated. The verification will automatically go to the registered email. And it reads the registered email. If there is no email ID, no verification would be sent to that email. So that is the caution, that the document IEC is what is being uploaded must have the mobile number or the email ID. So these are the screenshot you will see. That is from applicant's view, that you will see these screens. And when you file the application, all these screens would be visible. When you step by step, you fill up the field. These are very simple fields. Anyone can fill up. There's no need of hiring the services of any consultant or anyone. And more or less, custom officers are also always available just to assist anyone who comes to the office or ask on telephone. They are always being assisted. So these are some of the shots which you will see as an applicant. These screens would be visible. And these are very simple fields. Anyone can fill up. And this is one more benefit I have just mentioned, that MRA, which ma'am also, sir also mentioned, that mutual recognition agreement is there. We have entered with the mutual recognition agreement with many of the countries. So the aim is, and the idea is, that what facility we provide to the exporter of that country, rather the same facilitation our exporters also should get. This is the basic idea, and many countries have agreed to that. And we are in the process to line up and to take on board many other countries in that matter. So this is a major benefit, that our exporters, just to expedite and just to facilitate our exporters, we'll also get the same benefit, right? So thank you. Anyone has any question, you are just free to ask. Anyone? And Hindi is most welcome. This presentation wasn't just in English, so I was just elaborating. Anyone can ask in Hindi as well.
Any questions on the topic?
Any question, anything you have in mind regarding AEO? We have got the senior most officer here, so you can just ask and we'll elaborate. And if the policy issue is there, then that can also be addressed anytime.
Good evening, Mr. Srivastava. Very informative presentation. I would have only two questions here.
Sir.
Number one is, we have quite a few aggregators.
Okay.
One of the few aggregators that I can recall of is,
Okay.
say, Cotton Corporation of India.
Correct.
Now, as far as Cotton Corporation of India is concerned, they aggregate from various centers, right from the farmlands to a warehouse somewhere near the port. As far as the transportation of goods is concerned, do we have the AEO covered right from the farm to warehouse, or is it only warehouse to and onwards?
Every transporter who is part of global supply chain is covered, no matter whether it is from wharf to warehouse or from farm to warehouse or from farm to port, from any place, all the transportation is covered if they are part of international supply chain. First. Second, as far as your question is that for aggregators, as such, we have not mentioned a word aggregator, right? But as I mentioned, the list is not exhaustive. For example, couriers, we have slightly mentioned that couriers subject to the credentials. Similarly, transporters, no matter, obviously for domestic transportation, we do not provide any AEO. But if the transporter is engaged in international supply chain, no matter what percentage is involved, 10% of the goods he is engaged in supplying to airports or warehouses or international supply chain, and for that matter, say is 90% of the business is for in domestic sector, still he is eligible. So there's no doubt that don't perceive that the transporter or the logistics service provider who is engaged in domestic sector is not covered. We have not prescribed, as I mentioned, we have not prescribed any size of the entity. That volume should be this or employee should be this number and all that. Irrespective of size, if he is part and parcel of international supply chain, he is covered. Anyone else, please? If you have any question, then just ask. Otherwise, we'll go later. Enough disturbance is also there. Yes, sir, please.
I would like to ask one question.
Sir.
Is there any prescribed time limit for clearance of the application? Because in the number of time exporters who have applied for AEO 1 certification, they are receiving queries from your department. Again, the same query.
Please loudly. I can't hear you.
They are receiving the query time and again, piecemeal query. So some applications are pending for last 3-4 months.
We have prescribed time limit, that is 1 month for T1. T1 is not given by DIC, which is the nodal department of Directorate of International Customs. Rather, T1 is disbursed by the zonal manager at the zone level itself. We have prescribed 1 month time and 15 days for MSME. For other entities, T2, T3, we have prescribed 3 months time. As you mentioned that some queries were there. Now you need not to supply the documents physically. You simply upload the reply of that query on the portal. Certain level of queries are addressed then and there. Say, in most of the, as far as practically, if I speak that, in certain cases, I find that the map was uploaded, but it is not visible at all. Mentioning that we have got 3 sites, the map or the site plan is uploaded for one site. There are n number of examples. So don't worry, if legitimate query is there, you can simply upload the document required on portal. And in quick time, it will be addressed. Don't worry about that. Anyone else? Any other questions, sir? Or I'll call it a session.
Thank you, Manoj ji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
I personally regret for the frequent disruptions due to announcements made by the hall management. Had it not been there, the presentation would have been more smooth. But I also appreciate your capability, Manoj ji. You have tried your best to give justice to this subject.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I invite Mr. P.T. Srinath, Director PO, for closing remarks and vote of thanks.
Madam Aruna Narayan, Mr. Manmohan Singh, I've heard a lot about you, sir. In fact, I was earlier posted in Hyderabad, but I have heard about you from Hyderabad itself, from one of your colleagues, Mrs. Sivana Kumari. And I would also like to thank Mr. Srivastav for his presentation. In fact, like in all the AEO cases, there are certain, of course, stoppages like we just had, or disturbances like we just had, but which are not the responsibility of neither the customs nor the applicants, like the announcements that we had sometimes. So this is something that we cannot control, but I would like to thank Mr. Srivastava a lot for this particular presentation. We would of course be glad if you can share the presentations so that we can disseminate it amongst all our 17 centers all over India. And thanks a lot, sir. Thank you for this.